And so the letter was there to give a sense of what we are shooting for, as well as a common understanding. The other thing I wanted to point out in the letter is that we are owned by the city. That's really important because the city has designated us as an enterprise fund. Joe was very instrumental in turning my thinking around. And then I called Rob and he said, yes, we are an enterprise fund. And I said, is it common practice for enterprise funds to be self-sustaining? He goes, yes. That's the whole purpose of typical enterprise funds. They're not supposed to be supported. They're supposed to be able to support themselves. Now, we started that way as an enterprise fund. We still are that way legally, but internal to our organization, we have other things that have come into our organization as services that I would call more public health. You could look at it two ways: strategic for the hospital, non-strategic for the hospital, or hospital services and public health services. And so as we go down the budget process, that's just going to start in the next week, we're breaking out hospital operations from what I would call other operations that would be considered more public health operations, so that our board, ourselves, and our owners can have a good and frank discussions about exactly what we want to support and what is supportable by our operations. My sense right now is that it's very difficult for the hospital to support all the public health requirements. Even if we do get to the point where we're a 3% operating margin, most of that needs to be saved for replenishment of asset base. As you know, our ORs are old; those need to be replaced at some point in time. We have parking needs. There's a whole series of needs that are in our facilities plan that we need to think about. So we may not be able to support what I would call the public health functions or those that are not strategic in the hospital. But it's not up for me to decide. It's up for the owners and the boards to kind of come to that conclusion. What I'm going to be doing as part of the budget process is being able to give you the information that you can see to help make those decisions. So this is an important letter to start the process. And on Thursday, we're going to be sitting there and going through this a little bit more in detail with management, because I want them on the same page as we start the process of talking about how well we're going to be improving operations and why some of those decisions need to be made. And then also, as we go further down, they need to be able to answer questions from staff. We also need to be able to answer questions from our general community, our board, as well as our owners. So from that standpoint, this is kind of the beginning of the understanding of what we need to do to improve our operations. I think we can get there, but we're going to have to make some tough discussions, we're going to have tough discussions and make some tough decisions that I think everyone kind of understands we need to do that. But when you get there, it's tougher than just thinking about it at a time. So this is the beginning of the process. Hopefully, if you have any questions, you can call me or stop by. Happy to answer any of those things. But trying to set the standard, what we want to be. The budget will tell you where we think we are, and then we're going to have to start figuring out how to close the gap to be able to be self-sustaining. So that's the importance of that letter for this time. And I think the next two letters will have themes about what we plan to do. And then I also have promised the board to come back with a plan of how we're going to do it, so more specifics. So I'll stop here and see if there's any questions about the letter. If I didn't explain it well, I'm on Kiwi time, which is 1 day ahead and 2 hours less. So anyways, any questions? Do we have any questions for you? And if you haven't read it, please do. And if you have any questions, please call or have it sit down. It's been Joe approved. And I also got the input from our leaders. They had some input. finally, before I turn it back over to the chair, I was gone for about 2 weeks. And our process and procedure is to turn that leadership over to somebody else. I turned it over to Ken, and I just wanted to publicly thank her for taking that leadership and the fact that she's done it for 2 weeks. And I came back to a pretty calm shop, so I appreciate it.
Well, you asked about comments or the letter, questions, and you just got dead air, so that could be taken many ways. Like,
Yeah, I don't know how to take
so
that.
I just want to say, I read the letter. I thought it was very clear and self-explanatory. I don't have any questions because I did read it.
Yeah, and I wanted to give people a sense of how much things cost. So that's why I put in what is our payroll every 2 weeks, and which is an expense, but improving our diagnostic imaging, which is very high-end stuff. That also costs, and that's not an expense to begin with. So it gives people a sense of how much, because they don't always know that.
So Ian, I appreciate the letter too, and I also read it. And for at least a couple of decades, Bartlett turned out an average of about a 4% margin year over year. There were years that it was higher and there was years that it was lower. When you go back and look at the historical financials, that really seems like it kind of came to a screeching halt with COVID. That for the most part, maybe it was a little bit earlier than that, but I guess my point is not the timing of when it stopped, but I'd like to understand, and I think it's important for the board when we're making these decisions, you kind of, refer generally to the, the public policy things that have been done here over the last few years that don't contribute to bottom line. But I think we need to understand, what is it? What's changed? What's been the change in the lay of the land? And, not today necessarily, but, finance committee or the next meeting.
Sure.
What's happened on the cost structure and what's happened on revenues that have caused us to flip that over, so that, and because that'll, for me at least, it'll give me more clarity on, what decisions do we need to make going forward to get us back to, a successful point.
Max, we do think alike, because what I asked our CFO to do is give me 1 month, way back when we were making money, so I can actually look at what our expenses were, what our FTEs are, so we're looking for that time period back in, I think, 2018, where we had a pretty good bottom line. I wanted to see, what FTEs, what expenses we had or didn't have. I'm sure, with the EHR, some of those are new expenses, that weren't there back in there. So we're going to be going through that process.
Anybody else have any questions? Thanks, Max, for pointing that out. That's really, because the flip happened quick. I mean, it really did. I mean, since my time on the board.
And it's interesting that you're not the only one that this has happened to, right? And so we owe that a plan, and we owe that to the board. So we'll get that, and we're also are taking small actions to improve, especially on the FTE side.
So anybody else, the administration report is a lot of good information. Does anybody have any questions concerning that? Again, the behavioral health, it's great to do that. We've been asked it several times, taking people from all over the state now. That's great. Don't have any questions, comments? You can start.
Hey, read the report. There's minimal updates since last month on home health. Our census is running again 2024 at any given time. We still are waiting on our licensure surveyors to show up for home health. They have not yet, so we are still operating on a provisional licensure in home health. I'll remind the board that we did ask for them to come and survey our home health last September. So we've been waiting several months for that home health survey to take place. Hospice, was surveyed. I spoke to that last month. However, we have not received our certification number yet from CMS. We are awaiting that. We do know that documents have been sent from the state of Alaska to CMS. So the survey was the week of Christmas. The state has 45 days to submit their information to CMS, and then CMS has 45 more days. We're nearing the end of that time frame, so hopefully we will hear something and we will receive that information on our hospice services at any given time. And so Wildflower Court has been a whirlwind the past month. The week of February 12th through the 16th, we had 3 surveyors in conducting our state and federal survey. We do not have that report yet. I am anticipating some minor deficiencies. If we'd have had any major ones, I think they would have spoke to that at the time of our survey. So overall, we feel pretty good about that survey. The next week on Thursday, which was last Thursday, another surveyor came in to do our emergency preparedness and our life safety survey. And we received our findings on it Sunday night at 9 p.m. And we have 5 small deficiencies on that are all easily correctable as well. No major findings. So again, another good and successful survey. And then today we had another surveyor come in. It was just a quick in and out survey, and we'll be awaiting a report on that survey. And that was just a NOSHA survey that came in. I'm hoping I'm through with surveys for a while. I have a lot of corrective action plans to write and submit, but we've been waiting on this and we've been anticipating this since July 10th. And so I'm actually happy and a little relieved to have these surveys completed and over with. On a positive note with Wildflower Court, we have received information. We have received our approval from CMS. Our new IRS assigned tax identification number and our NPI. However, we are still waiting for all of that information to filter through to, I don't know, how do I explain that? You want to back to the states so that we can begin billing Medicaid for our long-term care residents. So we're about at that point when we can start billing, and we're ready. As soon as we get the number in, the billing will start. We'll start collecting back from July 10th to current. So hopefully we'll start seeing monies coming in the door for Wildflower Court very, very soon. I think I had spoke to the fact that in the month of December, our census dropped. And we're seeing that in our January numbers. We dropped down to, in January, our average daily census dropped down to around 44, 45. And we are back up to, as I spoke to earlier today, 50. We had 50. We'll have another admit tomorrow. We try to run with our staffing around 50 to 54. And that's our goal, to get back to that number.
Kim, do you have a waiting list now at this point? I mean, when you have that kind of drop and then you replace them, I assume that's coming off a waiting list.
It depends, but yes, we do. We have like about 8 people on a waiting list. So whenever we drop like that, we will call them and see if they're ready to come in, and usually they're not. Or they're waiting on a spend down to occur so that they qualify for Medicaid to come in to the facility because they don't have a payer source.
You also have any questions for Kim?
What's our AR number, Joe? How much do they owe us?
I think he'd like to let me get to that one later.
Like that.
We have a certain amount of time. I mean, I know we're waiting for the number, but you know, this will be a year.
365 days to submit a bill.
That's the only time when it's timely filing. Once we submit it, then it resets the clocks. We're well within. We have 4 months still. Cammy called the Medicaid office today and see if we can get an update. They didn't have that for us, so we'll start harassing them and get that.
Is it common, you know, to see something like this?
The process is common, the timing seems to be extraordinarily long, crazy. You know, by months. That's, you know, when you start 3 or 4 programs at the same time and they all have certifications, they all take twice as long as you expected. It does have problems, but they don't care about cash flow, do they?
Well, thank you very much.
Palmer's not here.
Yeah, there is a school board meeting.
What's that?
There is. a school board meeting.
4:30.
Yeah, sure.
What's that? Maria's not here. So Maria Foundation, she has written us a report. I think that the biggest thing is on the report, you know, it's really great that how the foundation supports Bartlett. The Edelman Health Science Scholarship application period is starting, and it's all due by May 24th. So I know that if she was here, she'd love for everybody to let people know that this is available. It's just a great way that the foundation supports our community. With that, we're going to wait.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon Gross. My daughter was a recipient of the Bartlett Foundation funding, get a nursing license. All right, so I have probably the most real thing that I've ever brought to a committee as an assembly member. The assembly is we have proposed changes to both Title III and Title 85. And what that does is it's going to give greater authority in the manager's office on tourism, as we recently created the position of tourism director with Alex Pierce. And so that gives the manager's office a direct hand in tourism related decisions. And so it kind of gives the manager's office more of a seat at the table. Where that will impact Bartlett is if there were decisions that impacted or that connected tourism to Bartlett, maybe like some of the marine passenger fees will allow for the ambulance service or the extra crew. These changes would allow the manager to have direct say on that, whereas before we were going through like docks and harbors and there wasn't a clear and direct path. The assembly's given the nod for staff to draw this up. It's in draft form now. But we wanted to bring it to the different boards. Docks and Harbors is discussing it this week. It just happened to be last night. The manager didn't even have a chance to write a memo to bring to you guys. But we're not introducing this until the April 1st assembly meeting. So you guys have a little bit of time, and I believe you'll be able to review it and have it for the next Bartlett board meeting. At first I wasn't sure about this. I was serving on the Docks and Harbors board. But now, as I've had to explain a few times, this is going to give us a clear and direct path to have immediate say from the manager's office straight to whatever tourism issues that we have. And it just gives a really clear path on how we can get those solutions rather than who do we go to? Do we go to Parks and Rec? Do we go to Docks and Harbors? Now we'll just go through our tourism director to solve it. And so that was up for you guys for questions or discussion. And again, we don't really have to do any, wouldn't need comment from you. We'd have time for the next board meeting to have comment. And I believe that Manager Kester is got it scheduled to, she at least got you a memo regarding it, I believe, Mr. Ward.
Right.
So
Yeah, it was when I was gone, but I think we need to.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I'll follow up on it.
So, Mr. Bryson, so can I ask you a question? So right now, marine passenger head fees were, that's not directed from the manager, that's directed from Docks and Harbor, they're the ones that tell.
Docks and Harbor's had a bigger say on it before, is my understanding, and now it went through the manager's office, and it might have gone through the tourism director and then the manager's office, and we're trying to streamline that kind of stuff, yes.
So this is still gonna be like the rules about marine passenger fees,
Yes.
still the same rules apply on it?
The same rules will apply, but by having a tourism director, we have like a point person for any of the issues that come up or dealing with the tourism or there's two industries. There's the tourism industry, which is the local operators, all locally owned. We don't have any international or national companies that operate tour businesses here. And then there's the multi-billion-dollar multinational cruise line industry. And this direction gives the tourism manager more authority, the manager's office more authority when dealing with the cruise industry.
Is that person in the job, the tourism director?
Oh, yes. Alex Pierce has been the tourism director around 2 years, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit less. Yeah. And she's already made progress and made changes, and the voluntary 5-ship limit that came from her discussion saying this is what the city's looking for. And so that was one of her first, like, make something happen kind of things.
Has Bartlett received any marine passenger fee money in the past?
Joe, would you know that offhand?
If we received any, and there were some funds we received to help support a case manager in the summer, I believe, but that was a while ago. I haven't seen nothing on the books after.
So that was one of the things I was going to point out. Max, would you know anything about that? No. Because I think that the way that the rules are with passenger head fees, it can't directly go to entity unless it's supporting something on the dock. So when Mr. Bryson said that they could help support ambulances to bring, I believe we could also get something to help support Flight for Life,
They cut that out for
So I mean,
over the
but
area.
I still think that would be something that a thing that could be supported with that too.
What we need is a kind of, I don't know if money can help with that, is a cruise ship liaison from the hospital to try to coordinate everything, I was just worried about that, so.
I'll include that.
I just, it'd be mutually beneficial, and just because they want tests, they want.
There's a huge impact on the medical community.
Yeah.
Oh, it's enormous. When I was a house supervisor, I mean, it was probably 2 years before the smell of the siren. Because, I mean, it just goes all day long, the ER is packed. But I think it's great that it would help with an ambulance, but the hospital doesn't have an ambulance. So,
That's a great idea, ladies. Somebody have our voice at the table too.
Our voice at the table, and also a coordination of some of the care that these people need, that get off the ships. And we.
Heads up.
Well, I will bring all this information forward when we are giving our reports. And I only want to make a comment onto something Mr. Warden said. I heard it this week, ironically. A poor doctor helps no one. Because everything that in the medical world is expensive, and a doctor that doesn't have profit, the other rule is, what do you call a business without profit? Call it closed. So it makes a lot of sense. Stuff costs money. You got to raise the money, you got to keep it going. And just so that you know, if you need to retort to that, not every enterprise board in the city is 100% sustainable. There's one or two, but not all of them. That's all I got, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Bryce. Appreciate it. So we get to my report here. I just kind of touch on a couple of things that hopefully by next meeting, we'll have a little bit more of a report on the CEO search led by Deb. And with you helping us to. I did make it to your meeting, but I made it to the rest of the meetings this month. It was a pretty quiet month for me. I didn't get a lot of phone calls from anybody, so I think maybe you being gone, that was a dog damn. So to hear you say that it was calm again, that was really good. So yeah, I don't have too much to report on. I know that Deb and I are going to be meeting with Ian tomorrow and talking a little bit more about board training, how we're going to go about doing it. So that's one of our topics on our agenda. So with that, we will have more information to come in next month. So let's go to the board calendar.
Sure.
Yes.
I have questions on the tree nursing officer. Excuse me over.
Oh, yeah, okay. You can go back. Jim? What are the questions?
Well, my question was on the Teleneo, how long is, because it sounds like Bartlett is getting that for free. How long of
I
that?
think it's over a period through the chair, pardon me. I think that's over a 5-year period.
Wow,
It's a really great opportunity for our moms and babes in the community.
that's great. And how did that come about?
Through the chair, OB director found out about it and researched it along with the chair of the committee and decided to research it and got buy-in from NRP providers here at Bartlett. And was able to.
Yeah. Exciting.
It is great, and then I agree with that. So actually holding the baby and looking at the whole thing, so that's awesome. There we go.
Oh, no, that was my main question. I'm an NRP instructor, so it's near and dear to my heart.
All right, let's bring the board calendar up.
Yeah, Gail, when was our quality meeting?
It's just.
No, it can't be the 21st.
14th,
14th is what it was, yes.
that's what it was.
14, I guess.
Yeah, what time is that gonna be?
I am free that day. What would you like?
I would like it to be on the 13th.
The 13th is great too.
Yeah, if we could do it at 13th, anytime, it would be good.
And that would be. Do you have any, Lisa, any thoughts?
Afternoons work great for me, but whatever you guys want is fine.
Kenny, tell us.
Anytime that works for you, Dr. Jones. except for
Anytime,
3 o'clock.
at your schedule, buddy.
Let's, it's 3 o'clock, okay with you, Lisa?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock on the 13th.
Max and Joe, you guys are fine on the 8th, right? Governance, Lisa, we're good on that. I know a pretty good discussion about that. You're gonna do approval?
That's what I'm waiting for. See if it comes up here. I'll ask a question.
What's the question?
Well, we had talked about, so the board has got to approve the budget, which is being presented on the 8th by have to be approved by the 15th. We talked about it, finance, either doing a special board meeting after finance or moving up doing a separate meeting on, I think we talked about the 12th or 13th.
And I'm
That's what we're wondering.
I'm good with either one of those dates. I remember talking about them. So,
Do you have a preference, Joe?
Well, if they don't qualify on the 13th, or same day, I don't know, when it was.
Yeah, it would need to be the 12th for me, I'll do it on the 13th. But we could also do it as just a special meeting, it just wouldn't give us any time to respond to any changes that might come out of that.
Yeah, so I think that I think comes out really close to that.
Yeah, I'd suggest the 12th.
Max, what do you think about the 8th? Just doing it right after finance, like we talked about that, would that work?
So that's what we're just saying is that it wouldn't give him time to respond if there was any changes that came out of that meeting. So, but otherwise we should do it.
What time? At 12:15 is the Met staff exec, and then later in the meeting is the Met staff meeting, so.
Let's do it in the morning.
I mean, if you wanted, we could shoot for the 8th. I mean, I guess, you know.
We also talked about doing it the 8th and approve it pending changes. You guys are comfortable with that?
Yeah. It would save us a meeting.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do that? Let's do it as a special board meeting at 1 o'clock on the 1:30 on the 8th. Does that work?
I'm not available. I may not be available.
So you should get the packet with the budget ahead of that, and then I guess if you have any questions or something like that, you can reach out to us through email or Max or Joe.
This is for a state board, I'm supposed to turn off on the 1st. But my appointment hasn't been, so I may or may not.
Everybody else available on the 8th?
I'll have to go to conference.
I'll be working, but I can't balance my checkbook, so.
Again, too, everybody's gonna get this.
Yeah.
Over the last time, so
Jake, what time? 1:30 on the 8th.
1:30 on the. No, 1 o'clock on the 8th, right? Max?
Well, the finance was more than an hour.
We'd probably want to do it 1:30, Anita, just to give us the room. We've been taking about 90 minutes with them.
Anybody else have anything they want to add or change?
Just have a question. You had mentioned, you talked about one of board retreats in April. Have you got anything further about that? I'm just asking because I need to plan my life.
So, we're gonna meet with Ian tomorrow and kind of talk about those.
That's all.
Thank you.
Well, it's really good if you guys know when you're not gonna be here to let Anita know so she can get it on the calendar.
Oh, okay. I have a shrimp fishing trip. Yes.
How far in advance do you want to know?
Business, man.
Is that,
How far in advance do you want to know about that kind of stuff?
well, that whole calendar goes like a year.
So I'm flying out of here on June 5th. I'll be back July 19th. No. We're going to where none of you ever want to go. Indiana.
So.
Go back.
Go there.
All right, so there's a motion in here to approve the calendar. Someone want to make that motion?
Make a motion to approve the March calendar.
I'm second.
Thank you, Lisa. All right. See no objections, the calendar is approved. Now it's time for board comments and questions.
What is the status with our law contract, with our new law firm?
They have been selected. Both City Law and Hall Render are in negotiations over the contract. It's been redlined. And I'm not sure exactly when it will be done, but I did not call Rob today to find out.
It's been kind of dragging on, hasn't it?
It feels like 2 weeks. Yeah, we made that decision Friday just before I left, and I came back last night. So you guys been 2 weeks on one day. I don't know if any of you all have a better understanding where it's at.
I know that Rob sent the contract back to the Hall Render last Friday. Last I saw.
Have we been a part, have you reviewed that contract at all to know what the, I mean, is this are we gonna have an attorney or is Rob gonna have an attorney?
We're gonna have to. But I will follow up.
Joe, you read the contract.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, so I can, it seems reasonable to me. Just to see about.
To me, if you're smarter than.
All right, any other comments, questions? Take a couple minute break and then come back and go into executive session.
Encourage you out now.
Yes, they do.
But
So that's no different.
I got that from
All right. Al, would you like to take us into executive session?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Directors of Bartlett Regional Hospital recess into executive session several matters, including those which by law, municipal charter, or ordinance are required to be confidential or involve consideration of records that are not subject to public disclosure. Specifically, the credentialing court, medical staff meeting, patient supervision, headquarters, and budgetary authority for union negotiations, and to discuss possible Bartlett Regional Hospital litigation, specifically discussion of tax litigation strategy with the Bartlett Regional Hospital and city attorney. And Mr. Chair, I would also ask that you be allowed to include conservative staff.
Thank you. I think we'll have answer the first part, and then we'll have some people leave to read some other sections of the executive session.
As a point of order, did anybody second that?
Not yet, I was just kind of asking you to do that tonight.
I'm second.
Deb seconded. And we are now officially in executive session. So I just want to remind people online or Mr. Cohen online there that you're in executive session. So please make sure you're in an area where nobody can hear us.
Believe me, I'm in an area where nobody can hear me.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Out of executive session, we're going to get this recording going.
I've got a motion.
Ready?
I move that we confer authority on John Fletcher of the Chandler Falconer, Winston, whatever that is, LLP law firm, and the management bargaining team to bargain with ILW Healthcare Unit 2201 within parameters that we have set during executive session.
Objections? That is passed. You want to make the objection?
Motion that we candidates report
As presented.
as presented.
And that's a.
Okay. With that, seeing no objections to that, motion has passed, and we have come to the end of our meeting, and we are officially adjourned.
I'll collect back any stray handouts.
We just.